Hi friends, this is Manish Pandey. Welcome back to my series on UiPath Data Service. In our last video, we discussed user interface of UiPath Data Service. In this video, we are going to learn how to create entity, how to update entity, how to delete entity. We'll talk about field types, how to add field to the entity, how to update fields, how to delete fields, how to add records to entity, how to update records, and how to delete records within the UiPath Data Service. So let's move to UiPath Data Service. So this is UiPath Data Service. We'll be using a practical example by creating an entity to store vendor details. So let's get started. Here on the entity page, we can see any existing entities that we have created. Since we are starting fresh, so this page is currently empty, but only default entities created here, that is system users. So without any delay, let's create a new entity to store the vendor details. To create a new entity, click on the Create New Entity button at the top right corner. Now we'll fill out the details for our new entity. Enter a display name for our entity, vendor details. Make sure the entity name is clear and descriptive. The entity name is automatically populated with the same value provided for the display name. Now after that, if you want to change the entity name that is different from display name, you can do that. Vendor master, you can keep it like this. Display name and the entity name can be different. You can modify here while creating the entity. But once you create an entity, this entity name cannot be modified. You can update the display name, but name cannot be modified. Now enter the description if you want, but this is optional. Now we have a checkbox, create another. If you select this checkbox, this helps you create multiple entities faster. So we'll be just creating only one here. Just click on that. Now once we'll create, you can see here the display name, the description, number of fields we have. So you can see here 5 fields is already there. But why? We have not created any entity here. So how this is possible that 5 fields already exist inside this vendor details entity? Click on this. You can see here the 5 fields, that is system built-in fields, that is created here. We have ID, update time, create time, updated by, created by, and this cannot be modified, this cannot be deleted. Okay, now let's discuss about how to modify the entities. Once you'll mouse hover on this, you will see here the system users are created by default and this cannot be modified. System entities cannot be edited or deleted. But this one which we have just created, this can be edited or deleted. So let's click on edit so that I can show you how to modify that. Now you can see here only display name and description can be updated. We'll click on more details. You can see here created by, created, last modified by, last modified, this date time, number of fields we have, number. Let's close this. Now you can only modify display name and the descriptions. So let's put here the same name, vendor master. Okay, so this way you can edit, you can update the entity here. Now I will show you how to delete the entities. So let's create one temporary entity so that we can delete it. Delete entity. Let's copy this, create this. Okay, so we just now created this one. Now I want to delete that. So to delete it, you can mouse over on this and you can go right side here. There is a delete button. Click on that. Once you click on this delete button, you have to type that entity which you want to delete, just to confirm that. So just paste that same name, delete entity. And now if you'll just mistake anything, then this delete button will not be enabled. Now put the same name and then click on delete. So this way you can delete the entity. Now I will show you how to add fields to the entity. Let's click on vendor master. Now we have two tabs here, fields and data. So we should be here on this tab, fields. So here you can see create new field, this button. Click on create new field. So again we have display name, name, type, that is field type. The checkbox, we have two checkbox, required, unique values, role based, field access, that is the toggle one. We have more details, then checkbox create another. Now in the display name you need to enter that field that you want to create apart from this. So let's open Excel file. So we need to add these fields here. So let's take vendor ID. So paste here vendor ID. Once we'll paste, enter that display name here, automatically that name will be added here without any space. You can see here we put with the space, but here it has taken without a space. If I'm putting one more, so see it's not taking that space here, right? Now we have to take the type, the field type, and that is text, number, yes or no, date, time, relationship, auto number, choice set, file. So these are the field types we have. So based on our field, based on our column name, the field name, based on the requirement, based on the data that we are going to store to this field, we can choose that field type. So let's understand all these field type first. So we have text. Text field type. This field is used to store text value like name, country, email ID, etc. We have number fields. So this field is used to store a numeric value. Number values can be positive or negative. You must specify the number of decimal places that you want to use, like 10 or 10.55. So if you say 2 decimal 2, so you can store 10.55. If you say 3, so you can say like 10.557. If you say decimal places 0, then you can set it like 10, 15, 20, like that, this value. Next field type is yes or no. This field is used to choose between yes or no value. Date time. This field is used to store a value that contains a date and time. A date picker can be used to select a date and time. Relationship. This field is used to create a relation between two entities. We'll talk about this relationship in another video in very details. Relationship, you know, our like we create a primary key and foreign key. Like we create a relationship between two tables. So here we can create a relationship between two entities, right? Choice set. This field is used to store a list of enumerated values from which one or more values can be selected. So you know choice set, there was a default choice set created on the data service page that was user type, right? We'll be also we'll also talk about this in details in another video. File. This field is used to store a file that can be PDF, JPG, Excel file, any type of attachments like. Auto number. This field is used to automatically increase the records indexes. So we have added vendor ID, display name, and name vendor ID. We'll be taking it as a text. Now we have to decide this vendor type, vendor ID is required field or not. If you think that this is required, so yes, this is required. We need to enter vendor ID always. We'll be always getting this one 1 2 3 4 5 like that. So we'll be saying required. If you don't want to select, it's okay, but I say okay, this is required. Now unique values only, so yes, vendor ID is always unique. I can mark it here. Role based field access. So this, if you enable that, so it enables to restrict access to records. Roles must be updated to restrict the access. So if we enable this, so this data will be restricted and based on the selected roles, and that only that users can access this data for this vendor master entity. Click on more details. So for each field type, we'll have the more details here like maximum length, default value, description, etc. So here it says that maximum 200 lengths we can add here. Default value. So let's say if you are not passing any value here while adding the records to this vendor ID, then what should be the value as a data to that field? I will leave as it is because I don't want to add anything. Now check this checkbox because we have to add multiple fields here. Let me first click on save, and then you will see this field will be added. So let's refresh this, and now you will see here the vendor ID is created now. So display name, vendor ID, name, vendor ID, type, text, required, yes, is unique, yes, there is no description here, last modified it, this. Now let me click on create new field so that we can create other fields as well. And now I will be clicking on the create another checkbox so that like I can create these fields faster. And then now I will fast forward this video. Now we have registration date. So enter the date. So from the type we'll be selecting date time. Now if you don't want to store time, we have option to exclude the time. So this is a very good options features that we have, that we can exclude the time. Save and fast forward. Okay, so now we have added fields, all these fields from the vendor master details. Now I will show you how to modify, how to update the fields. So let's say email address, I want to change that to email ID. So I can go to that specific field, click on this edit field, the pencil icon, and then here you can see I can change it to the email ID. But as I told you that entities, that fields, this once you create, this cannot be modified. Only display name can be updated. And then this checkbox you can check if you want to. So I can modify that. And I can say, okay, this is email ID is now required. I can say like this. Click save. Now you'll see here the field name is email address, but display name has been changed. So let me show you how to delete the fields from the entity. So I want to delete this bank account number. So I can go click on the more options and then click on delete. To delete this field, you have to enter that same name and now click on delete. Okay, now you can see automatically refresh and then field is deleted. Now let's add that so that we need that field. So let me create new field, paste that same name, click on save. Okay, so this has been now added here. Now it's time to add the data to this entity. So let's go to data tab. Here you can see there is a button add new data, or from the top right side right corner you can see add data. These buttons are used to add the records to this entity. So let's click on add data. You can see here we can add data row by row. So for all these columns, first row we can add here. Let me show you first here. So 1001, the vendor name, address, phone number, email address. Now you can see here wherever we have set as a required, you will see a star here. It means these fields are required. You need to enter the data here. Payment term 30, USD currency, contact person, tax ID, registration date. So we have 15th March 2020. So let's either you can paste it like this in DDYY this format, or you can take it from here. So 2020, so select from here 15th March So set it like this, or you can change your data in that format and then just copy and paste here. Now the status, just paste here active. Bank account number, you can just paste here. So we have added the data for the first row. Now let me do it for one more time. So let's click on create another and let me do it fast forward. So let's click on save. Now you can see here the data has been added to this entity. Now let's go to the entity first here. Now refresh this. Now if you see here we have vendor master 17 fields, number of records 2. Click on that, vendor master again. Now you can see all the fields added here. We have 2 records added here. Now let me show you how to update the data, how to update the records. So let's say now I want to change that, this one. So I can say okay, from XYZ corporation to XYZ industries. Okay, so click on that and change that. Just next to that record the data, we have a pencil icon, that edit one. You can click on that or edit, or you can directly click here, directly click on that data and then you can modify here. So this way you can modify. Now if you want to delete that records, how you can delete that? So let me show you how to delete the record. So second number, this record I want to delete, this is not needed. So I can check this checkbox. Now you can see this has been checked. Now I want to delete here. So I can click on this delete button. You can see here, click on that. And you can see that that data has been deleted now. You will not see anywhere. I hope this video is useful. If so, please like this video and please subscribe the channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. We'll see you in the next video.